It's a great pleasure on the India Story to be joined by somebody who really influences the market, Raamdeo Agrawal, the chairman of Motilal Oswal and one of the most respected voices in the Indian market. Raamdeo, thank you so much for joining us here on the India Story. Just wanted to get your sense on where you think the markets are going. Last year has been fairly flattish in a sense. Where do we go from here?
Yeah, markets are actually doing well, despite given the fact that in last 1 year, earnings have been quite muted. And actually, even Q3 was not good. Top line growth was about 15-16%, but bottom line was flattish. And X of financials, the earnings were rather disappointing. And one can understand all kinds of cost pressures where logistic costs had gone up, energy costs had gone up. So all the companies, they're not able to pass on their cost escalation. And now that same cost is coming down, some amount of passing on has happened. So my sense is Q4 performance of the companies, particularly manufacturing and all, will be better. And as we go into the year, unless there's a new source of some trouble, I think we are going to see a sustained build-up in the margins. The economy is doing well, so demand side will be very strong. The issue is that whether companies can pass on the rising cost. I think we have got over the hump. And the next year, it looks that earnings build-up will be pretty good. And hence, market should also track that.
So before I come to the long term, if you're looking at the short term and the medium term, the next 4 months, 6 months, 1 year, do you feel that the corporate earnings are likely to be good and so the EPS will be strong and therefore markets could be buoyant for that reason? Then, of course, you will be heading into political questions closer to the general elections and other elections.
Yeah, so I think this is also a year of election coming in. But then the budgets were very... No, it was not what I would say. It was not impacted so much by the upcoming election. The finance minister managed the glide path correction from 6.5% to 5.9 in fiscal deficit. But actually, to be fair, this is probably the first full year of recovery post COVID. Last year, at least till June, it was impacted by COVID, and it takes time to build up the revenue base. But if you look at the one high frequency but very high quality data, there is a tax collection on GST every month. So for the month of February, it got released on 1st of April. 160,000 is a very robust data, I must say. For March, I think we should be somewhere around 175 or something like that. So I think if the government tax collections are good, it also means that, of course, it is more to do with on inflation also you collect tax. But broadly, 160,000 is a good taxation, and that means that next year government expenditure will also be very robust. Demand will be robust, and economy in full swing on a falling prices. Today we have seen the WPI has come down to 1.5–2%. So that's a good sign. So inflationary pressure is getting subsided, and even Ukraine war has now become daily affair kind of thing. There is no of course it's a big war, but I think it is now market has taken it on its side. If by chance some ceasefire or something happens, I think that will be added advantage.
So in short, Raamdeo, you're saying that you think it's going to be a good period ahead. Now, you and others have been advising retail investors and others for a long, long period of time that the real way to make money is to get into the markets and stay in it for a long period of time. So far, they've not often been listening to that, but now they are starting to listen. These monthly SIPs that we are seeing into mutual funds, what is it, 14,000, 16,000 crore rupees a month. So good retail participation now. What is your long-term prognosis for them? Are you still saying stay in the market long enough because it could be 100,000, 120,000 in the Sensex within a few years? So ride that.
Yeah. So, Vikram, the issue is that India had a compounded past. I mean, in 75 years has been, you have gone through all the ups and downs. You have seen global politics, global geopolitics, local politics and everything, fragmented government, whatnot, famine, drought, everything. And yet India is where it is. And when you look, it just compound the same numbers into next 25 years. We have seen, despite everything, nothing changes in the sense that nothing meaningful changes. India survives. It's like elephant just walking through. So I think if you look at the compounded future, if I say we had compounded past, we'll have compounded future at the same pace. Don't accelerate anything. Then also, if you do the number for next 10, 15 years, it looks, and there are not too many countries which can claim this particular thing. You look at Germany, look at Japan, you look at France, you look at so many countries which are at around $3 trillion. In the top, I mean, leave aside, China is a glaring story in the last 25 years. America has been steadily going up, and that's why they are leader, larger than 25 trillion. So India has a chance of going from 3-4 trillion. It's just a chance to go to 7 trillion in next 6-7 years. And then from there to build up. I mean, what more to say beyond that? But I think this is one of the most exciting story. India to become third largest economy.
And Raamdeo, I guess it would be fair to say that the power of that compounding is when you're a larger economy is so much more. It's okay if you're compounding at 6% or 7% when you're a smaller economy. But if you're a $3 trillion economy and you start compounding at 6% or 7%, the impact is massive because you're adding, what, $200-300 billion to your economy every year.
Yeah, much bigger. So about $300-400 billion of GDP. And what happens, you must have seen that ordering of planes, in 70s, 80s, ordering 5 jumbo jets, every jumbo jet was given name, Chandragupta, Ashoka, those kind of things. Today, one airline company is ordering 500 planes. Another airline is ordering another 500. So there is a competition who can order bigger. So, this is a change of the scale. I don't know what happens. What will be the size of ordering when we reach $7 trillion economy? Because aviation will be all over. And number of people who are flying, there are hardly 5-7% people are flying right now. Okay. If that goes to 20-25%, what happens to the discretionary consumption build, which is going to happen in next decade after that? I think it's a very exciting time. I mean, we can discuss numbers, macro numbers, to best of my understanding.
Okay, let's look at the bear case now. People do believe that there are things that could go wrong. For example, unemployment. We've just been talking about the fact India is the largest country in the world in terms of population. Could be a benefit, could be a negative in case unemployment builds up, in case jobs aren't available, in case there's social unrest. Commodity prices could go up, wars could happen. What do you feel are the factors that could go wrong now?
See, I'm an optimist per se. What I've seen at the end of it. See, it's not that all those problems were not there. I think the biggest problem India had till 92 was the forex. And we literally came to where Pakistan or Sri Lanka is today in 92. And from there to build from 7 days coverage of imports to now $650 billion of reserve. That's, I think, one of the biggest unsung story of India. And any country can do everything, but they cannot print forex. And now we have adequacy of that. And you see, every week we are getting $5-7 billion. My sense is, I think this quarter we could be having current account maybe plus or minus types. So is it only one quarter? Does it become a trend? We'll see what happens, but quite possible that 3-4% every year, devaluation of India rupee vis-a-vis dollar, that might be thing of past, but it's too early to say that.
All right, Raamdeo, thank you so much for joining us. Look forward to meeting you when I'm in Mumbai next. Thank you so much for being with us.